All right, welcome back to the Holocron Chronicles, your place to talk about Star Wars here on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. This is episode 123. I am Charlie Carden, Jedi guy on the east side, along with Peter, the other Jedi guy from the west side of Grand Rapids. I know we're a local show with a somewhat national following, or so I believe. So anyway, Peter, good evening. We're recording during the week. Yeah, because we are both attending, and here's a little plug that we've already gone by the time you hear this, but we both attended over the weekend Motor City Comic Con. They sponsored us as a press organization to visit and talk and plug, and I am certain to say without a doubt that we had a wonderful time.
Yep.
Peter and I went on Friday, and then April and I went on Sunday, and look forward to it. Some comic creators that have been featured on our spotlight were in attendance, including Mark Guggenheim and Steve Englehart. There were a lot of guests there, celebrity guests I'm looking forward to meeting. So, and then Peter, you are attending Grand Rapids Comic Con, or you had attended. Remember, we're talking about the past.
Yeah.
And I know Malcolm McDowell, who was, of course,
Malcolm McDowell's there, and Peter Weller's there as well.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So there's some interesting folks. The cast of Has Been Hotel is there. So
right.
we'll see how that goes.
Indeed. Good deal.
That should be fun.
So anyway, like I said, this is an aside, but always support local. Your local cons need love too. Remember, the people who run them are small business people. I was raised in a small business. As I say to people all the time, my dad was a small business owner, so I'm a big believer in small business. So anyway, we are back with some new content. Is this the first new content we've talked about since you and I took over the show? I think it might be
pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, because we went through the Heritage films. We've talked about one of two Ewok movies, and in our very when we finished talking about these 9 episodes, and we split them into groups of 3.
I think this might be the first time we're touching new media.
Yeah, new media. So look forward to it
on the podcast. Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to jump in to talk about the first 3 episodes of season 3, or series 3, or part 3, or chapter 3 of the animated shorts of Star Wars Vision. So we're going to get in and talk a little bit about that. And we have a news story to talk about as well, kind of a bummer one. But first and foremost, always got to get this, I would say get it out of the way, but it's my extreme pleasure to talk about our Secret Friends Unite Patreon over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. That is the place to get a ton, 2.5 years worth of exclusive, great content is living over there. All of our shows drop early. For example, you may be listening to this on a Wednesday, where patrons listen to it the previous weekend. So jump in, get that stuff early. Plus, there's a great channel over on our Secret Friends Unite Discord, which is just for Patreons. Your first week is free, 7 days. Test us out, test the waters, kick the tires. Then your first month is half off. And because you can stay on board for as little as $2 a month, that's $1.99 plus 1 cent for the cost of 1/5 of a cup of Starbucks coffee, maybe 1/7. I don't know. Stuff is expensive. April always ordered it and paid for it, so I don't know how much Starbucks costs, but I get a feeling it's a lot. But not that I'm putting down Starbucks, and if they wanted to sponsor us, give us some money. If I say Starbucks more, will a bot somewhere pick it up, or an algorithm? Who he's talking about Starbucks? Give him some money. No? Okay,
or
fine.
Katie Sackhoff will suddenly appear. I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh, is she behind me right now? It'd be great if she was. We'd love to have her on the show. Again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. We would love to have you. All right. Sad news time. So you take the good, you take the bad, you get the Facts of Geek Life, which is the name of one of our Patreon shows. But after more than 200 issues, the Star Wars Insider will end its run in 2026. That sucks. And it follows a litany of other genre publications, including Star Trek publications. I know one ended fairly recently as well.
Yeah.
That happened in print media. But this one kind of has a special tie to us here at Holocron, because although it's not dropped yet, but we did record it a few weeks ago, we had the opportunity to talk with Dan Madsen, a hyper super duper fan of both Star Wars and Star Trek, that launched that publication back in 1987. Dan, I don't want to spoil any of the content of that interview, but I will tell you that Dan holds a very special place in history that has to do with George Lucas and Gene Roddenberry, and I will say no more. But yeah, 200 issues. I mean, 200 issues. If you think about it like a comic book, because Peter, I'm more of a comic book guy than you are. But
Yeah.
these days, comics will get you know 15 issues and get canceled. 10, 15 issues.
Yep.
Like nobody picks up and reads them. But back in the day, if you had a run of 200, so that's if one publishes, so that's 12. Do the math for me. What's 200 divided by 12? How many years is that?
Uh,
You're a smart guy. Don't
I
make me
can't do
break
quick.
out the
I
calculator.
can't do quick math.
I know I don't have the calculator as one of my hot buttons, but anyway, it's a lot of years. So yeah, well, it's since 1987. That's 38 years.
16
16.
and a half years.
Yeah, 16 and a half years. Okay, so it didn't publish. It was probably quarterly. And again, if I was any better at math, I could probably figure that out for you. But yeah, it says the final 2 issues will be released in early 2026, and back issues are available through their website. This is, of course, courtesy of StarWars.com. But yeah, it really bums me out. Yeah, current editor Christopher Cooper is quoted as saying, "Insider has been a big part of my Star Wars experience for a very long time, both as a fan and professionally. But publishing has obviously changed a lot." During the Lucasfilm fan club age. Now, keep in mind, this succeeded the original 1978 Star Wars fan club, which was called Bantha Tracks, which I belonged to as a small child. I also talk about that in our interview with Dan. So yes, with changing that and moving into the digital world, that's the way. It was interesting because I started my even before I started my career, when I was in middle school, I worked as a kid journalist on a print newspaper that was produced and distributed. I did it all through high school. Did it at Michigan State University, the State News. I was on staff there for a few years. But it's a different world. And cool glossy publications that we all love to fawn over in a bookstore or a comic shop, it's just they don't sell anymore. So it's a sadly an end of an era. Peter, do you have one of these type of magazines that you've ever subscribed to or follow closely?
I never really subscribed to magazines. I didn't have that kind of. My family just didn't do that. But I did pick up a couple of things like that when I was like at the library, or if it was on like the shelf at like the store, I would take a look at it because stuff like this would have. I think when like the prequels were coming out, I think I managed to get my hands on one of them, and it was like, ooh, look at all the spaceships and all of the stuff. So I mean, currently we all just look at screens, especially on our phones, to get like, here's all the pictures. But like in the late 90s, early 2000s, like those big like fold out pictures of like, a set or a matte painting or something was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So I have fond memories of that kind of media. Like I actually still have, it's not one of those exactly, but I have like a book on the behind the scenes of ILM, and they've got some nice fold outs of like matte paintings and set pieces and stuff. And so there's something to holding it physically in your hands. That's just a little bit different than holding the same little black box that you hold for everything else.
Very true.
To like cross genres for a second, it's like touching the Phoenix. There's just something different about holding it.
Would you three like to be alone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think Star Wars has a moment like that. So
yeah. No, I don't think so. Maybe someday. Maybe someday if they're lucky.
Someday.
But yeah, I absolutely remember from a young age, we had Starlog magazine, something else we talked about, Dan Manson about, which was the big one. And then I still have volumes of, and when you and I were talking about Doug Drexler recently, and then we talked to Larry Nemechek earlier this year, I was pulling out like, look at this issue here and look at this, book. Back then, yeah, without the little black box with little pictures that you could zoom in and pinch and search for things, all you had was, it was like the phone book, all you had was, that's what you had to kind of check out, and that's what you had a pile of before you got older and discovered Playboys, which also doesn't exist anymore because everything's on the damn internet. So yeah, it's great. It sounds like some issues you can still get them really from Titan Publishing, which is what makes it. But yeah, it's sad to hear. And as I always said, when the zombies come, we'll be sorry that we don't have that we have to haul around the big backpacks of stuff if we want to get our fix for comics and magazines.
Yes.
What a bummer. So fare thee well to you, Star Wars Insider. We knew you thusly. So All
Thank you.
right. Star Wars Visions. And so this is the third volume. It is volume. I wrote that down. This is the
Mhm.
third volume of this. It's been around since, I'm going to say, 2022. I think it's been coming out on a
I
consistent
think
basis,
so.
maybe once a year. Maybe it had a skip because of COVID or lockdown or
I think it was about
after
I think it was
strikes or
about that,
something.
22. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
And, I will admit, we've been talking about, since the show's been going on since 2021, we have talked about it as they have come out. I am not an anime guy, and I make no bones about that. In fact, I think I actually skipped more than one of these segments when Mark was doing it so they could have somebody on to talk about it who would not have nothing to say about it. And I know Todd Oxter was on with us when we were doing the second volume, but now, I'm in the driver's seat, and it's my responsibility as a responsible
Yeah.
pop culture commentator to find something in this.
I mean, I
Uh,
like anime, so I don't know
and
this. I don't
yeah,
know the studios as well as like some of my other friends who really
right,
are into anime.
right,
Like I do recognize some of the art styles of some of these
right,
pieces, but
exactly.
I'm
So
not the
the
one
good,
who's like, hey, that's
yeah,
studio such and such.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah, you're not that guy. But we're gonna do this. We're gonna break it down. I'm gonna read the description of it. I've taken some notes. Peter, I'm sure you've taken some notes. We have kind of some big picture thoughts about it, and we'll just take them one by one.
yeah,
So I'll read the summary. That'll help. I mean, that's what we usually do. It's funny. We go a little lighter when we're talking about Star Trek over on Code 47, where with this, I just grabbed the description I grabbed this from just has everything, which is
yeah.
fine.
It's
So
a basic
I would,
plot outline.
it's a basic plot outline. So I would say before I get started, I'm glad I remembered to do this. Two things. Number one, obviously, these are available on Disney Plus. There's a good chance you have it unless you dropped it amid recent controversies, in which case, if you're a Star Wars fan, you've probably gone back and resubscribed. Hopefully, you got a better deal for it. Secondly, we're going to go full spoilers with this. So consider pausing it here, watching these first three segments, and then please come back and join us. And then by all means, when you do, hit us up on any of our socials. We are on all the major socials, both in my name, which is the C3, and I run all the Secret Friends Unite socials. Peter is also available. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show. And let us know what you think. More so, the Secret Friends Unite at gmail.com is our mailbag. If you need to write something long form, we want to hear all about it.
Yeah.
But without further ado, we're going to jump on in with segment one, which is called The Duel, Payback. I'm going to let you
Ooh.
pronounce these two names because I'm not even going to try it. Go for it.
Oh, it was. I believe this is the directed by. Yeah. So this is
Yes.
directed by Takanobu Mizuno
Nice.
and written by, I believe, Junpei Mizusaki.
I like that.
And it's the
The studio.
studio is Kamikaze Duga and Anima.
Now that one
So,
I could have gotten.
yeah.
And the sequel to The Duel, so this is from a previous season, might have been from season 2. The Grandmaster, the leader of the breakaway Jedi sect known as the Crusaders, see, this is all stuff I don't remember, hunts down the Ronin, seeking revenge against the Sith renegade for inflicting the injuries that left him as a cyborg. See, I feel bad that I didn't do my homework. I just kind of jumped in and it was like,
There
all
was a
right, well,
flashback.
it was, yeah, there was a flashback, but even really, like, even without that, it's not hard to pick up on a lot of contextual clues.
Yeah.
While visiting a gambling hall built into two modified AT-AT walkers, I really did like that part.
We had
The
two
Ronin and his
AT-ATs
droid
in these episodes.
R5D56, there's a lot of letters and numbers in there,
Mm-hmm.
are attacked by several Yakuza troopers. That's pretty cool. Led by the Twi'lek. I have to tell you a quick story once. I was at I was at one of the fan expos, or maybe used to be Wizard World, and I'm in Chicago 5 years ago, and I was with Oxtra and John, who is my best friend, who my other college roommate, who lives out west, and we're going up the elevator, and going in the other direction is a Twi'lek in a full orange X-wing jumpsuit, and I said, "Great Twi'lek," like I mispronounced it, and she goes, "It's Twi'lek," and I was like, worst example of when a cosplayer's head gets a little too big. So if by some chance it was you and you're hearing me, I hope that was a valuable life lesson for you. But anyway, it was a great play. But yeah, I will always think of that rather rude individual who needed to put me in my place. But anyway, the Twi'lek Sith, Anisan, who works for the Anzellan proprietor Kedama, William Kedama. There we go. The name of the episode. Their duel is interrupted by the arrival of a fleet led by the Grand Master. Grandmaster Flash, that's a rap reference I'm sure you're not going to get, who destroys the gambling hall. Ronan and Ronan and Nissan survive the duel with the Grandmaster, but are both wounded. After being rescued by Ewoks, and boy, I got a lot to say about that. The two enter a truce and join forces with Kedama, and the Ewoks in order to lure the Crusaders into a trap. During the battle, the Allies inflict heavy casualties on the Jedi Crusaders. The Grandmaster gains an upper hand over the Ronin in a lightsaber duel. The cyborg is slain by a Nissan. Following a farewell duel to Kedama, the Ronin and a Nissan resume hostilities. Okay.
With grins. So was it hostile?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know if you're at all familiar with the end of Rocky 3, the classic. I don't know if you've seen all the Rocky films.
I've seen a couple of them. I don't know if I've seen 3.
The third one is when Apollo Creed, who is Carl Weathers, a Star Wars reference, helps Rocky, who is Sylvester Stallone, train to be able to defeat
The Russian
no. That was the fourth one. The third one was Mr. T. Mr. T of eight. So at the end of it, they do a thing where they're going to punch each other, and they're both punching each other, and it's a freeze frame that ends the movie. So it's kind of evocative of this.
Yeah, it's kind of that's kind of funny.
I'm going to jump on in. Probably my biggest like of this was that black and white pencil style with that kind of living storyboard feeling. Like you'll see, I know particularly like they did, it was kind of a long shot. It was, so there's a little forced perspective, but you saw like what you would see, like a little hair would like go through, and it was
actually a lot of that throughout the whole thing. There were like the little imperfections on the quote unquote film throughout the whole thing, which I thought was kind of neat.
I absolutely love that. The fighting sequence on the moving AT-AT legs, so it was an upside down AT-AT, and then there were it was like the platforms in Tron.
It was an AT-AT in snowshoes.
Yeah, exactly. So I absolutely dug that. But my biggest annoyance, without a doubt, and I'll nitpick this to death, and I even kind of pre-named the episode this, was putting those fucking Ewoks in there. Why? It makes no sense to me. And again, we're coming from a place where we don't, maybe I go back and watch the first segment, but I feel like we're coming from a place where we have no frame of reference of when this takes place. But the Ewoks are not this spacefaring race that if they're there, they were forcibly relocated. It was a trail of tears for the Ewoks. Somebody scooped them up and dumped them on this planet because they do the same Ewok song. They have the same horn thing. It's a big, stupid, like fan servicey thing. That being said, I think for the casual fan, it's necessary. But that being said, I don't feel like a casual fan is necessarily watching this kind of thing per se, but I could be wrong.
Maybe. Yeah.
I feel like somebody who's committing to watching this is kind of bought in on Star Wars as a quote unquote serious application or a serious hobby for themselves. So sticking the Ewoks where they don't belong reminds me of, do you remember that Kickstarter a couple of years ago that Hasbro tried to do that failed? That was the Rancor. Does that ring a bell?
I don't remember that at all.
This was like 2 or 3 years. It might even been before you and I started working together. But I've done a few of the HasLabs. You can see there's one behind me. Of course, we're not on video, but I'm pointing for. There's one behind me that's like the Sky. It's a remake of the Sky Striker, the GI Joe, and I have a couple of the nicer GI Joe ones. And so Star Wars has done some really successful ones. They did Jabba's sail barge, which is massive. They've done. Going to draw a blank, but they've done the Ghost, which just recently released.
I know that was huge. Yeah.
I know our mutual friend Derek has one. I think he bought 2. But they tried to do the Rancor to scale with the Black Series figures, which is
that is a massive Rancor.
It was. The point to my story was it did not fund and therefore was not made. And one of the things that I think really took away from it is that, what they do is they'll sell so many and it unlocks a tier. Tier 1 unlocked, sell 3,000 more units. Tier 2 unlocked. One of their their first unlock was like, it's a bunch of patches or something. And it's like, it's not a figure. It's not people are really looking for more figures in those unlocks. That's what they're excited about.
Like if we get this many, we'll unlock Jan Ors or something, like, I don't know.
One of their unlocks was a series of plastic animal bones that the Rancor would have eaten, and one of them was a tauntaun, and it just made no sense. A Rancor would have not eaten a Tauntaun when a Tauntaun is in a frozen environment and the Rancor is in an arid environment. So I think people were just as annoyed as I was, and that brings me back to why seeing the Ewoks in this kind of drove me nuts. You know
That's
what I mean?
fair.
Because it's like, they just wouldn't be there. Because the Ewoks were not like, oh, we're part of the. It's like the Jawas that were in Mandalorian. You know, they wanted to use
It's on the
Jawas.
same planet. Yeah, on the other
Why the hell would
desert
Jawas be on
planet.
another planet? Jawas don't have spaceships.
I mean,
And
I think we do know that the Jawas aren't native to Tatooine, and so that because I think we have seen Jawas in a couple other places in the prequels.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but the Ewoks, I feel like, are absolutely native.
But the Ewoks are that's different.
Endor,
they don't have like they're based on everything that they have. They're not technologically savvy in the same way.
Right. And another thing I think for the kind of casual viewer, they have those I wrote I created an acronym for this, GAOTR, Grand Army of the Republic, the dropships. So I was trying to figure out, is this like set post Clone Wars? Is it during the Clone Wars? It's like, are this just leftovers and that's where somebody picked them up?
Based on some of the visual stuff, it looked like it's set after the sequels.
Right.
Because the armor that the Yakuza troopers are wearing is First Order Stormtrooper armor. So it's First Order Stormtrooper armor. We've got Imperial AT-ATs. We've got Clone Wars era gunships and a heavily modified Jedi Starfighter. So there's a lot of mishmashy pieces going on here, which there's nothing wrong with that. Star Wars has mishmashed era stuff everywhere.
Exactly. And the Ewok drums have the Jedi symbol on them. So that's definitely, I mean, that's even older, because if this was post sequel trilogy, it's now, we're pushing 50 years after the fall of the Jedi. So So I did right at the end. Yeah, the droid gets fixed and our Ronin is leaving, but he's wearing the droid, which is really, it's an R2 droid as a backpack. And I've been having some back problems lately, and that made my back hurt that much more. I'm like, come on, dude. I know you're a Jedi, but damn. That was the end of it. So the color choices and the art style and the action, super top shelf. But I gave this a 6 out of 10 because that Ewok, that was a 40% point reduction for me. It just really bugged the shit out of me. It really bugged the shit out of me. What about you?
I was surprised by the Ewoks being there, mostly because I didn't notice them when we first got to the gambling place. If only because it's like, why would there be Ewoks in gambling?
Right.
But then, they fall out of the walkers like, beans out of a basket that's tipping. And then they pop out of the snow. It's like, oh, okay, Ewoks. And then they're like, schlepping them all back to their.
And they're swimming. Aren't they swimming at one point?
They do end up swimming, and then they make booby traps and stuff. To me, it was like, okay, someone likes the Ewoks and likes Ewok booby traps and stuff. Okay, fine.
I suppose.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It was just a little funky.
It's too funky for me.
Yeah. I quite liked the art style. I remember seeing the first one. I think that there was a little bit more color in this one than the previous one. Because I think the last one, the only color was the lightsaber blades, and there was a little bit more here. But so I liked that. The story of the Jedi Crusader was kind of interesting because it was the whole idea of like, I have been wronged by someone who's evil, and so now in my righteous anger, I'm going to go take him out. And then you do things that are so much worse.
Yes.
So you have basically the Ronin tells him at the end, it's like it's kind of you have become what you swore to destroy sort of deal.
Right.
It's like you're hunting
Damn it,
Sith.
Anakin.
Yeah. You're hunting Sith who are not really Sith. Exactly. The Twi'lek she says she's a Sith, but it's like, okay, sure. What's hilarious is that she wears her leku like a geisha's headdress with like lightsaber pins and everything. It was like, that's kind of fun. And then she has like she gets her limbs chopped off, and so then she has like a cybernetic arm that now has like a web of lightsaber little stilettos.
That was pretty sweet.
That was an interesting little fight thing, and then she had a lightsaber in her peg leg, basically. So there was just there's a lot of like interesting things going on. and then we obviously it's hilariously the Grandmaster at the end. He's been like beat to hell, and so at the very end he reveals who he is by grabbing the red lightsaber and igniting it. So he can't tell exactly which lightsaber he's pulled, but he pulls the
I
red
like
one.
that too.
And it was like it was that moment where like the Ronin tells him like you've basically fallen to the dark side and become what you thought you were fighting, and then he dies. So I thought that there was some really interesting storytelling here. There was some fun world building. We had another Babu Frick type alien who is running the gambling.
Was he in a Baby Bjorn? He almost like on the front of a Chewbacca.
Yeah, he was riding on the front of a Wookiee, sitting on top of a mouse droid with a marquee scroller on it.
There was just so much packed into this.
So much stuff that's just mashed into here, which is hysterical.
Yeah, except for the Ewoks, not hysterical. Just kidding.
I would probably give this one like an 8. In part because of just the art. I liked the story arc that they were doing. I like when there's a follow up to a story. So like the events of the duel have consequences, and we can see how it affects people. I did like this one. So
fair, and you know what? And it continued to get better for me. So part 2 is the Song of Four Wings. Does it say transliteration?
Yeah, so that's a transliteration of the Japanese characters, which we can see there, which is Yonmaibane no Uta. I am probably butchering that, but there it is. Directed by Hiroyasu Kobayashi, written by Yoji Enokido, and it was animated by Project Studio Q.
Cool. All right. Princess Crane and an astromech droid R2 TR2 or Tortuga, like from the are survivors of a lost kingdom that was destroyed by the Empire. They joined rebel forces led by Mon Calamari, Admiral Basil Kyusi. I just figured, I couldn't get it over my head if it was Admiral Akbar. I hate to say they all look alike, but he also never really see him.
I think they may have said his name once in the episode.
So I was a bit lost trying to place it. Who operate on the snowy world of Yahtzee? Roll the dice. During a routine patrol, Crane and Tortu stumble upon a village that was attacked and inhabitants massacred by Imperial snow troopers. So this does put us
takes place during the original
OT. Yeah. So so that's good. They rescue a Gregorian child named Whoopas.
Yep.
And it's just basically eyeballs with feet. And like a little rectangular head.
Yeah.
Very Star Wars-ish kinds of creature.
It's kind of a Funko Pop critter.
Funko. Well, okay, we have a new name for the episode. It's a Funko Pop critter.
The Funko Child. It's the Funko Child.
The Funko Child. Oh, the Funko Child. Whoops. Oh, well, instead of doing that, I'll, you continue reading it while I change the name.
After escaping the snow troopers, Crane and Tortu attack a modified Imperial sandcrawler. Doesn't that make it a snow crawler in this case? That was mining the planet for coaxium and its AT-AT escorts. During the skirmish, Tortu transforms into an X-Wing mech unit, but his cannon malfunctions. Yeah,
so crazy.
We got our Gundam reference here. Whoopas uses the Force to reconnect the cannon, allowing her to fire. Following the battle, Crane deduces that Whoopas is Force sensitive after seeing him elevate an origami crane. That crane having 4 wings, by the way, making it look very much like an X-Wing.
What? I'm going to jump in and say I read the description and I'm like, oh, this is just going to be some anime nonsense. I was concerned.
Yeah,
just by reading
thought it was going to be like cutesy goofy.
Yeah, and then I read the title card and I'm like, this is definitely not for me. I was trying to figure, and then I saw, Amon Kamar, so I thought, okay, Akbar, we have a familiar face, not Akbar. I missed where they said his name, and then she's got a weird outfit. I was immediately
wearing stormtrooper armor. Actually,
you're right. And I'm really put off by the fact that she's on a snow planet and wearing what's tantamount to like a tank top in the snow, going high speed. And I'm like, but again, be real. She's not human, or you assume she's not human. So it doesn't mean that she has. And if this is her home world, because it's not her home world.
I don't think it's her home world because we get a flashback of her home world being destroyed.
She
by the
must be
Empire.
resistant in some fact, but um her R2 unit, the Tor2, has a tape deck, but it's a
Yep.
little tiny. It's a little tiny tapes that back in the 80s or 90s you would have in an answering machine. So it's like little
Yeah,
tiny
an
tape.
answering machine or like a transcription device.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like they're leaning into like Guardians of the Galaxy vibe here, and like, I mean, do I like that? Do I not like that? I just couldn't. I couldn't get going in the beginning. Our hero, and it's Princess. I'm already. I navigated away from that page. I'll just keep calling her the princess.
Princess Crane.
Walks the role because she's got a cape and a blaster that are a match for the image of Leia from the first
Mhm.
Marvel Comics miniseries in 2015. So
Yeah,
I
it's
dug
true.
that. But yeah, her being in the frozen environment and not wearing warm clothes, and Peter, as a parent, you may one day experience this. Kids don't like to wear coats even when it's in sub-zero temperatures.
Oh,
So
I've
you'll see some
seen it.
kid,
I've
yeah,
I've also been a college student more recently, and there's
yeah.
always the dude who walks around in shorts and flip flops in the middle of
When
winter,
it's
even in St. Paul,
cold.
Minnesota.
Oh my God, it's absurd. But yeah, we got a dead giveaway, obviously, when we saw the regular imps, snow trooper, so we know where we are. But then you have she's trying to, she has a gun battle with them, and then she's escaping, and then out of the ice pop these walkers, and one of them has this. It opens up, and all these friggin'
Yeah.
guns come out, and it's like you feel like you're watching. What is it? Gundam, or what is that
Yeah,
big? Where the
it kind of feels like one of the it feels like a mech anime with like a
right.
Gundam or something
I
like
mean,
that.
it's just getting crazy, and then like we talked about, she then turns into some cross between Voltron, which was
Yep.
an actual anime that I loved in the 80s when I was a kid, and Iron Man, but she's also an X-Wing of some kind. It's like
Yep.
if you saw Marvel Comics recently, Ironheart, in some ways it was absolutely bananas. It was
It was
absolutely crazy.
it was very much a mech genre thing. So
Yeah.
they just were
Yeah.
like, "Hey, we." And I don't know enough about Project Studio Q, if that's just something that they do a lot of, because that is a case for some studios, like they specialize in these kinds of animations. So it could
Yeah.
be that they
Yeah.
do mech anime, and because there's a lot of it. There's a lot of mech
Yeah.
anime,
Right.
and so I wonder if that's just like them or a lot of their artists really like it, and so they were just like, let's find a way to make it happen, and they did.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, from that, then she does escape and see her flying home in a very familiar cockpit, almost looks like the Millennium Falcon. When they zoom out, this cool ship that she's flying in, she's being escorted by an actual X-wing. She
Yep.
has a fighter escort going home. And she's talking to the Mon Calamari dude again, the Admiral. And then you zoom out, and she's flying a YT class ship, but it looks like a cross
Dash
between the
Rendar's
Falcon
ship, kind
and
of.
Dash Radar ship. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The Outrider, which was
Mhm.
is that a YT? Is that a
It's like the Falcon is a YT 1300, so I think it was like a
right?
YT 1100 or something.
Yeah, something like that. So it's just basically it's the cockpit, and then it's like it looks
It
like
doesn't
a
have the
bad
prongs in the front,
yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super cool. So yeah, I actually, this one crept up a bit for me. It was 7 out of 10 for me. So slow start, but then this action, and again, this was a 15-minute short. It was a short.
It
It's probably
was
one of
it,
the shorter
it
ones that we've
it was one of
seen.
the shorter ones, yeah.
So it managed to really turn it around, because I thought, oh, this is going to be for the kids. It's going to be cutesy poo. It's going to be blah, blah, blah. And then they really, you know what? I'll bump that up to an 8 out of 10. You know what? I don't need
There
to be
you
such a
go.
curmudge.
Nice.
But yeah, they really did manage to turn it around for me. So I was impressed. So how about you?
I thought this one was fun. There was a lot of really goofy stuff in it, like the cassette deck playing Astromech. It's like, well, you have to get a new droid. He's old. Well, he's the only one who can play my tapes.
Yeah, right.
like,
It's like you got to get yourself
like,
a car from, an Oldsmobile or something from the early aughts, so still
yeah.
want to play cassettes.
So I thought that was pretty fun. There's some character building and some world building with like some of the flashbacks about the princess's former planet and like the hairpiece that she's wearing, even though they never really talked about it. They just like did the visual thing. We don't get a whole lot about the Gagarin who they are. And the only thing we know is about the kid Whoopus, and
Yeah.
we don't really know anything about them. We know that Whoopus is force sensitive. That's kind of
Mhm.
teased a little bit earlier, and then you figure it out for
Right.
sure when he
Right.
reconnects the literal plug in the mech to make the X-wing blaster cannons work.
Right. Right.
So that was pretty funny. She does do a Kira slide with the speeder bike to stop while they're fighting the AT-ATs. So that's kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
The coaxium reference is like, okay, so it's coming back. It's not just sitting somewhere. I thought the mech was funny because it reminded me of like Voltron or uh, something else. I forget what the other one was. There was another one that was in the tip of my tongue and it's gone away. But I just thought it was fun how you had like the very classic mech look, but it was Star Wars parts. So that was. I just thought this one was fun. It's it's not like huge high stakes. It's not like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. But the art style is very pretty. Like the Star Wars stuff, like the stormtroopers and the AT-ATs and everything, look very much like what they're supposed to look like.
Right.
Like they're not
Yeah, and you
they're
know
not
what?
really
And I think
stylized. They're just there.
yeah, and I think I appreciate that a lot more than when that hasn't been done in maybe some of the previous installments that
Mhm.
they get a little too out there with their designs, like, and it just doesn't feel like, you're trying to, we run it in Star Trek all the time, let's
Yeah.
change the uniforms again. Let's retroactively change something that doesn't need to be retroactively
Yeah,
changed
or
because
like, hey,
there's
let's add another variant of this thing. It's like, why do we need another variant? So like,
right. Just
instead of
because
like,
somebody wants to, yeah.
yeah, so
Well, we
instead of
want this thing to look different than blah blah blah. Yeah,
exactly, so
exactly.
we didn't get like a different kind of snowtrooper. We just got here's the snowtrooper.
Yeah, exactly.
So I thought the AT-ATs coming out of the ice was a little goofy. But
Yeah.
that is something that happens in anime a lot.
Yeah.
So it was fine. I just thought it was a little funny, and
You're
then
like, what are they doing down there?
yeah,
What do they get?
like it,
They get
like
catching a frozen rainfall or something?
yeah, or it's like, are you just waiting in case the rebels decide to bring an army so you can just like they come there and surprise,
Surprise!
here's two
Yeah,
AT-ATs,
right.
pew boom.
Oh my gosh,
It could
yeah.
be that, but I would give this one probably like an 8.5. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Cool. All right, we move on to our last one. This is another sequel. Now I feel bad that I didn't end up doing the research. Maybe I'll give a try for a name. So,
yeah,
segment 3 is The Ninth Jedi: Child of Hope.
yep,
Naoshi Shaitani
yep,
doing the directing.
and
And the
writing.
writing. I don't have to
Yep.
say it twice. The writing and the
Hey.
directing. This is from Project I period G. Should there be another period? Maybe I cut it off. I have no idea. Following the events of the Ninth Jedi, I'm assuming from the previous season, Lakara and her Jedi allies, Ethan, Margrove Juro, Homan, and the droid 99.99, which brings back to me a song by Toto, which was a rock group from the early 80s. They did a song called 99, which was actually spun off from THX 1138. That was the inspiration. I
Mm.
think I mentioned that when we were watching the movie, but it comes back around again. Peter doesn't get a lot of my references because I'm old and he's young
And I
things of that
listen to instrumental music.
nature. And he
So
does. The finest of the instrumental music. Well, Toto was a super group of studio musicians in the early 1980s. You should look into it. They did
yeah,
the song Africa. I
I've
it
heard
was
a couple of their pieces. Like
all right, good.
I'm
Well,
not
we
I don't
won't go.
live under a rock. I have heard a bunch of things. There's just I don't have the breadth.
Look at all that you learned from me. It's fantastic. But anyway, they embark on a mission to find Kara's trapped father, La Zima. Zima being a terrible clear beverage from the 90s. It was alcohol. Oh my God, I know I can't help myself. While being pursued by bounty hunters, of course, Anda and Unda, Kara is separated from the others after the Jedi ship is hit by a laser blast. Very cool sequence. And I
Mhm.
love that his ship, I put this in my notes right away, looks like a Star Trek ship. Doesn't it kind
It
of give
does
you
kind
that
of. It's got like a
Miranda
saucer
class with
and
the
yeah.
nacelles? Yeah. She's sucked into space. Very cool visual. Kara is rescued by a service droid, Tito, or Tito,
Tato. Yeah.
oh, okay, all right, back up.
Uh-oh. Are we getting a Jackson
Africa,
reference?
Toto, Tito, and 99. I'm
Hmm.
telling you, there's
Somebody's on a roll here.
Somebody's on a roll here. Anyway, Tito's master starship has been stranded for centuries in a remote asteroid field, which he's able to grab her. She doesn't have to, fall through the gravity field of a planet and burn up. That's how he's able to rescue her. Though they don't actually show that part. He sees her through a spy scope, and then the next scene she's just down there walking on the
He
asteroid.
lassos her in. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Magic lasso like Wonder Woman.
He's got a big old metal lasso that he chucks out there.
Awesome. Kara helps Tito to reach his late master, who was buried behind rubble, but he had died centuries earlier because his life support failed. Out of gratitude to Kara, Tito offers his service to her. So he's, the like the dude in The Mandalorian, Nick Nolte's little Ugnaught character.
Mm-hmm.
I have spoken. When Anda and Una board the starship, and they're basically these hunter droids are basically they're magna droids with trash can lids for helmets. That's what I got from them. Because they have the staffs, don't they? Aren't they pretty similar? I thought so. So there's a big punch up. Kara and Tito join forces and fight them. And their grunts, outmatched by the hunters, Tito jettisons Kara in an escape pod and sacrifices himself by detonating his late master's starship, taking out the bounty hunters. Kara is then rescued by her comrades, with Juro deducing that the mysterious Nawan was behind the bandits who kidnapped her father. Kara mourns for her fallen droid friend, Tito. Wow. And this is a longer show. It's about 23 minutes.
Yeah, this one was one of the longer ones. And because of how it works, sure we're getting another one.
Yeah, and exactly. You're right. We got a TBC at the end of this one, so there'll be a third part, which means I should go back and watch the first one. This is the first one I can remember. And again, I'm guilty of not going back and watching them again, and I should, that I really liked. Certainly out of this group, this was the one that I really dug. So again, there was a great space battle, and kind of not even really the cold open, but certainly the first act was about that.
Yeah.
And then the animation style, and again, I know nothing of these styles, was very much like Voltron. The mouth and the talking and
the way that the particular facial animations. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love it. The CGI art that they did for the ships I wrote it was dope because I totally think it was dope. Yeah. And I did love our heroine floating through space and two ships just dust her. And she's like, what? Tito kind of looked like Wall-E, but he had like moving mouse parts, which I thought was just totally awesome design. I did miss the fact that she was when she pulled out a lightsaber, I'm like, oh, that's fortunate. So, I did not recall the first part of this, so I apologize from that. I love the vistas in this as they're walking down. So they're walking down from wherever Tito had pulled her down. They were walking down this long pathway over a body of water, forest in the distance. I thought that's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous piece of animation. So kind of far apart from other things that you saw. I like the girl. She's on a quest. She's got a lightsaber. I wrote she has the mission of Peter Parker because she kind of repeats with great power comes great responsibility, Uncle Ben bit. I noticed that.
Yeah.
And then she fights the Magna droids with the trash can lids. And then there's a heroic ending that moves on to a sequel. So this was a 10 out of 10 for me. Slam dunk. Yeah, I liked it.
I think this one, it's right up there for me too. It was a good story. Yeah. I thought that Teto was a good addition. He was an interesting little droid. I thought it was interesting how he always spoke in the third person.
Right.
I thought that was a nice little thing. I wonder because I didn't
like he was like Dobby.
Kind of. Yeah. I wonder if this was because I don't know which ones were written primarily in English or if they were all written in Japanese first. The first two clearly were. I just don't know about this one.
Right.
So I just wonder if like that if it's the same in the Japanese because that would be kind of neat. But I thought it was kind of cool. And interestingly, this is the first time that we've actually seen that central power port like on C-3PO, that central round bit on a droid get used for what it's supposed to be used for, which is power transfer. Because Teto uses it to power the escape pod. So I thought that was
50 years.
Yeah. So I thought that was hey, someone looked at the technical manual, saw what that's for, and then went and used it. Like it's the reason why we have world building. So you can do stuff like this.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool. To be nitpicky about it. The force field or bubble suit life support spacesuit was great. where it's
Right.
like she's in like a force is either a force field or like a Gungan plasma shield
Right. Well, and
spacesuit.
it reminded me like of what they do in the Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah,
movies, because they have that, like, you can survive in space because you can have a
yeah, you have a small
that suit like
atmosphere
that. So you
around
don't have
you.
a space suit like you do
Yeah,
in modern astronauts, or like in Star Trek or whatever, or other sci-fi. So
yeah. So I thought
um
I thought the technology was kind of cool. We had a little bit more of the character arc, which I think we were having in part one. I don't remember everything about it, but a continuation of like, you need to believe in yourself, Kara. You have the power of the force is on your side. And so then she's able to, the size matters not bit, where she's able to move the statue,
right.
and all of that. So that was cool. I thought that the act of self-sacrifice was a nice little bit, where it's like Teto has been trying to live as the house elf for so long, and then finally
Yeah.
someone shows him kindness, does something for him, and then he's like, I will do everything for you, and now I'm going to make sure that you live.
Yeah.
And so he gets her away, and then takes out all of the bounty hunters on his own by blowing up the
Right.
whole ship.
My
Because like they're
gosh.
gonna go, like, they get most of the bounty hunters get dealt with by the ship's laser cannons, which they use as a booby trap, and
Right.
then Kara deals with a couple of them. Well, she fights two of them. I think she might handle one, but then the rest of them are after her, and that's why she leaves on the escape pod. And then they're
Right.
going to
Yep.
follow her in the ship, but Teto blows up the other one and wipes him out. So she's now
Oh,
no longer being chased.
he
So,
blessed the rains down in Africa. Thanks,
yes.
Toto.
Yep.
Oh, yes. I'm telling you, somebody behind this. I mean, 99, Teto, Toto. I'm just telling you, there's something
I would
behind it.
not be surprised that someone's
I
doing stuff there.
I got a feeling. So, all right. So overall, to wrap it up, looking at these 3 episodes, are we off to a good start? We tell them 3 different stories, 2 of which are sequels. Looking at the first one, do you feel that this was a 2-part? I think it was 2-part, unless this was the third
Yeah,
part. Do
no,
you
this
think it's
was
wrapped
second.
up? No, this was the second part, but
Yeah.
will there be a third part? I guess because
I
we're
don't
getting a
think
third
we're done
part.
with this character. I don't think we're done with
Okay,
the Ronin. I think everyone
okay,
likes him. I think the studio likes doing that. And so I think
okay,
we'll see more of that character. I don't know that it'll be
okay,
in the next season, because I think if I'm remembering correctly, the Ronin was like episode 1 of season 1. Um,
okay, okay.
so it's
Yeah,
so it's been a hot minute since we've seen him, but I think that
yeah.
we'll probably see him again.
You and I will admit that you and I, because we make 3 weekly shows and we make 3 Patreon segments, we watch and intake a lot of stuff. So going back and
Yeah.
watching stuff
Sometimes
becomes
it's a
more
little hard
challenging.
because it's just like, oh my
It's more
gosh, there's so
challenging with
much
the Star
stuff.
Trek stuff. We're kind of rewatching from a distance. And it's interesting because we'll record in the next couple of weeks our last segment of that in that format, because we will have accomplished my mission when I launched that show, was to talk about every episode of Star Trek. So
Mhm.
I'm getting pre-nostalgic about it, because it's been 5
Been a
years.
journey.
But we're working on kind of doing the same thing here. We've covered some segments that were non-Star Wars. We've talked about the Ewok movies. And in 2026, we're going to launch into talking about some comic formats. We have some comic arcs laid out, talk about some things that were pre-Marvel. Marvel currently has for the last 10 years been producing canonical works within the Star Wars universe. So we're going to
Mhm.
kind of talk about some of those. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to 2026. But between now and the next 2 episodes, we're going to continue to talk about this.
Yeah.
And keep things moving forward into 2026, which is we're going to get our first movie in 7 years with The Mandalorian and Grogu, which I'm very, very excited
Yeah.
about. So that'll be a blowout episode. Maybe we'll even pull in some heavy hitters, some big Star Wars fans in our community to join us for that. So it'd be pretty
Yeah.
cool. But in the meantime, yeah, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in, people. Peter, where do people find you out there?
You can find me around the interwebs at Petrus Aquinas on most social media platforms. I'm not terribly active, but if you poke at me, I might say something.
Pokey poke poke.
Most often, you can find me on the Secret Friends Unite Discord. That's where you can most reliably get a hold of me.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, you can also find me on ELH's Twitch and YouTube channels, where I'm doing some Star Trek Adventures games. And you can also find me behind the scenes on Starship Excelsior.
Yes, more on that. If you listen to Code 47, you'll hear more about that quite soon. You can find me running all of the Secret Friends Unite social medias, including our new TikTok, where I try to jump on. Actually, I've got to do one before I retire here to talk for the evening, to talk about Motor City Comic Con again on our TikTok, which also shows up on our YouTube channel in the form of shorts. I might do that in the morning. We'll see. But yeah, I try to do at least two, three, maybe four of those a week, just because I want to let you know kind of what I'm engaged with. But as far as the personal side, I'm available on most socials, not X. I don't mess with X, but I'm at the C3 TheCeeThree. You can find me in most of those places. Hit us up. But as I mentioned at the top of the program, secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. Let us know something you're enjoying. If it's Star Wars, Star Trek, if it's video games, I probably can't say much about it. That time has passed on this network, but Peter can help. And yeah, write us a note. We'd love to read it on the show. Interact with us. Find us on our Discord. That's a great community where we talk about all kinds of geek culture. So we'd love to have you there. So with that, friends, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring. And to keep on warzing. I can't say keep on trekking. Keep on warzing. Keep on warzing.
May the force be with you.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.